In February of 2022, I visited my cardiologist for my yearly exam. He's been caring for me for about 20 years, and I saw him not only as my doctor, but as a friend who really looked out for me in many ways. When the examination was completed, I said to him, "You know, Doc, my father, uncle, grandfather, and my sister all died from a stroke or a heart attack, and all around the same age, 67 to 69. I was 67 at the time, so I asked, what can we do to help keep me from an early demise?" He recommended a 5-minute test called coronary artery calcium scan. It measures the amount of calcium that's collected in your coronary arteries due to inflammation. I took the prescription and left and scheduled the scan with a local imaging center. Being me, I looked this procedure up online and discovered that a high score and one that would bring about a bit of concern was around 200, and a very high score was around 400. My score was around 3,000. Before I even got home from the procedure, my doctor called me and immediately scheduled me for a cardiac catheterization. I was catheterized, and it was found that I was about 90% blocked in many arteries, including the main artery. But because the blockages were in the distal parts of the artery, meaning toward the end of the artery, I wasn't experiencing any pain. I was given a prescription for a statin medication and was sent home. Before I left, the doctor told me that I had to be brutally honest and let him know if I began to experience any chest pain. That was the end of March 2022. In July of 2022, I was lugging bags of mulch around the backyard and started to experience chest pain. I went over to my local hospital and was tested to determine if I had had a heart attack. And it was found that I didn't, and that I was experiencing angina pain that comes on with exertion. And this is called stable angina. And they were right. From that point forward, exertion brought about chest pain, which subsided when I stopped exerting myself. Always the athlete, I continued to walk my 5 miles, lift weights, and jump rope. Did I experience angina? I did, and it subsided on rest. However, I will say that because of my conditioning, there were times when I didn't get the angina, or it took a great deal of exertion before its onset. I did share with my wife, Pat, that if the angina doesn't subside on rest, this would be unstable angina, and that's when she should be ready to take me to the emergency room. You see, I always knew I wasn't going to get away with this, and I wasn't going to throw caution to the wind. I paid very close attention to my body and even my mind. I wasn't going to try and convince myself that I was okay. I knew something was going to have to be done. I just didn't know what or when. On Sunday, January 15th, 2023, I went out for my walk and the inevitable happened. The chest pains didn't subside. I told my wife, texted my doctor, and off we went to the Jersey Shore Medical Center Hospital. I was admitted and scheduled for another catheterization. I was catheterized on January 18th, 2023, and was told that I needed quadruple bypass. The surgery was scheduled for Monday, January 23rd, 2023. I met with the surgeon, watched YouTube videos about what to expect, and went into the surgery confident about a complete recovery. Movement is critical after surgery, and the folks in the ICU were interested in getting me moving. What they witnessed, I truly don't think they ever saw before. I got out of bed on my own, sat down on my own, and I got up on my own. And then I looked at my wife and said to her, "This is why I did 100 squats a day." I was taken for a walk around the ICU. I did 1,000 steps. My wife told the nurse that I could have gone even further. I spent 4 days in the hospital after surgery. Before I left, my surgeon came in and said to me, "You have a new heart. The arteries that we used to graft into your heart were pristine, and your heart produced collateral arteries to create a new blood supply to get around those that were blocked." His final words to me were, "It was the exercise, and you're going to live another 20 years. 1 week after returning home, I was walking 1.5 miles a day, and I was up to my normal 5 miles in 2 months. Over the course of many years, I learned not only what exercise can do to a person, but how, by making exercise part of a lifestyle and not an event, can change anyone's genetic narrative. I had and have a family medical history that seemed to predetermine my health issues. Truly, though, we are not determined by our genetics, we're only influenced, and we can change our response to that influence at any time. Strokes and heart disease run in my family, so feeling a bit anxious and worried led me to question my doctor about my odds and what could be done. I was already doing many things that needed to be done, but then learned along the way about epigenetics, the science of how lifestyle and environment influence gene behavior. By being aware of my risk factors many years prior, I was able to rewrite my genetic narrative. My daily habits regarding exercise, diet, and even my mindset could alter my gene expression. Truly, genetics can load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. For many years when I exercised, I knew what I was doing, but really didn't know the true why of what I was doing. Now I do. It's lifestyle, not an event. Exercise is something that we should incorporate into our day. Oh, I do work out, but my workout is something that is consistent and sustainable, and any exercise that I do can be used during the course of my day. It's called functional exercise. It's important for me to know what exercise I'm doing, but equally as important is the why. As an example, we sit and we stand all day long. So what exercise helps with this? Squats. We bend over and pick things up like a small child. What exercise helps with this? Deadlifts. We start our lawnmower. That's rowing motion. I walk not just a 3-mile structured walk, but all over. I mean, why have your groceries delivered to you when you can walk around a grocery store and get in those extra steps? Walk a little faster if you can for days when you're in a bit of a hurry, or maybe you're keeping up with or playing with your kids or your grandchildren. Gain an understanding that exercise can be done anytime, anywhere. While waiting for your coffee to brew in the morning, you can do 10 squats and then do 10 push-ups off your kitchen counter. What about diet? Energy can't be created or destroyed, it's recycled. If we take in too much energy in our diet in the form of food, our bodies will store it in the form of a very unhealthy energy called fat. Diet is a lifestyle as well, and we just have to remain aware of our pant size and when to dial back our food intake. As I said earlier, for many years when I exercised, I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't know the true why of what I was doing. Now I do. I was training for quadruple bypass surgery. Please remember what my doctor said to me before I left the hospital. It was the exercise, and you're going to live another 20 years. I've got a lot of planning to do.